Stop. Don't scroll past this. This is not random, and deep down, you already feel that. Something pulled you here, at this exact moment. And it's not a coincidence. It's because there's something different about you. Something people notice, even when they don't understand it. Have you ever walked into a room and felt eyes on you for no clear reason? Not because you were loud, not because you were trying to stand out, but somehow people noticed. Some stared a little too long, some acted strangely around you, others seemed nervous, quiet, or even uncomfortable in your presence, and you couldn't quite explain why. Maybe you've asked yourself, why do people react to me like this? Why do some seem drawn to you while others instantly pull away? Why do certain people treat you with respect, while others show dislike without cause? Here's the truth most people will never tell you. They can feel something about you, something different, something powerful. And whether they understand it or not, they react to it. What you're about to hear will explain everything. Not just what you've been experiencing, but why it's happening. And once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. Now, let's make something clear, because this is where most people get it wrong. Being a chosen one does not mean you are better than others. It doesn't mean you are perfect, or that life will be easy for you. In fact, it often means the opposite. But it does mean one thing very clearly. You are different in a way that cannot be ignored. There is something about the way you think, the way you feel, and the way you see the world that sets you apart. While others may follow the crowd, you question things. While others settle, you feel a quiet pull toward something more. It's like there's an inner voice, constantly guiding you, pushing you, reminding you that your life is meant for something greater. You may have noticed this from a young age. Feeling like you don't quite fit in, feeling like you see things others don't. Understanding emotions, situations, or people on a deeper level without anyone having to explain them to you. That's not random. That's awareness. That's clarity. That's part of what makes you who you are. A chosen one carries a certain kind of energy. It's not something you can fake. It's not something you learn overnight. It's something people feel when you walk into a space, even when you're quiet, even when you're doing nothing at all. There is a presence about you, calm, intense, and hard to ignore. This energy often comes from within, from your experiences, your struggles, your growth, from the battles you've fought internally that no one else has seen. You've been shaped differently, refined through challenges that forced you to become stronger, wiser, more aware. And that process created something rare. You are not here just to exist. You are here with a purpose, even if you don't fully understand it yet. There is a direction in your life that keeps pulling you forward, even when things get difficult. Even when you feel lost, there's still something inside you that refuses to give up. That's what separates you. You're not ordinary, and deep down, you've always known that. You were not designed to blend in, to think small, or to live a life without meaning. You were meant to stand out, not for attention, but for impact, not for validation, but for purpose. And whether people can explain it or not, they can feel it, because you are not just different, you are chosen. Now, here's where things start to feel uncomfortable, and maybe even confusing for you, because once people sense that you are different, that you carry something they don't fully understand, their reactions are not always positive. Have you ever experienced someone disliking you for no clear reason? You didn't argue with them, you didn't offend them, you didn't even interact with them that much, and yet you can feel it, the coldness, the distance, the subtle tension in the air when you're around them. You might have asked yourself, what did I do wrong? But the truth is, you didn't do anything wrong. This kind of unexplainable dislike often comes from something much deeper. When people see someone who carries confidence, clarity, or a sense of purpose, it forces them to look at themselves. And not everyone is ready for that. Instead of being inspired, some people feel exposed. They become aware of what they lack, what they've ignored, or what they've been avoiding in their own lives. And rather than facing that discomfort, it's easier for them to project it onto you. So they dislike you, not because of who you are, but because of how you make them feel about themselves. Now let me ask you something else. Have you ever noticed people watching you closely, almost waiting for you to fail, not supporting you, not encouraging you, just observing, quietly, patiently, and the moment something goes wrong, they suddenly have something to say? This is another reaction you'll encounter: people becoming fixated on your mistakes. They talk about your failures more than your successes. They highlight your flaws while ignoring everything you've overcome. Why? Because your success makes them uncomfortable. When you move forward, when you grow, when you stay consistent, it becomes a reminder of what they are not doing. And for someone who already feels insecure, that reminder can be hard to handle. So they wait. They look for cracks. They search for moments where you fall short, because it gives them relief. It makes them feel, even if just for a moment, that you are not above them. But again, this has nothing to do with your worth. It has everything to do with their internal struggle. Now think about this. Have you ever felt like someone was quietly competing with you, even when you weren't competing with them? They compare, they measure, they try to match or outdo you. But you never asked for that energy. This is where envy begins to show itself. When someone sees qualities in you that they wish they had: your confidence, your discipline, your mindset, it creates tension inside them. And if they don't know how to turn that into motivation, it turns into jealousy. They might copy you, but at the same time resent you. They might smile in front of you, but speak differently behind your back. It's a contradiction, but it's very real. And then there's another reaction that can feel even stranger. Have you ever noticed people becoming nervous around you? They stumble over their words. They avoid eye contact. They seem unsure of how to act. Almost like your presence alone makes them uncomfortable. This isn't because you are intimidating in a negative way. It's because your energy is strong. There is a level of awareness and certainty in you that they don't fully understand. And when people come into contact with that, it can trigger something inside them. It makes them question themselves. Your calmness highlights their anxiety. Your clarity highlights their confusion. Your confidence highlights their doubt. And when someone is not secure within themselves, that contrast can be overwhelming. So they become tense, they withdraw, or they act differently than usual. You see, being a chosen one doesn't just attract admiration. It also reveals people's insecurities. And this is something most people are never told. You will not always be liked. You will not always be understood. And sometimes you will be judged for things you never even did. But let me ask you one more question. Have you ever tried to shrink yourself just to make others feel more comfortable, to speak less, to hide your confidence, to dim your light so you don't stand out as much? If you have, you're not alone. Because when you start noticing these reactions, dislike, envy, tension, it's natural to think that maybe the problem is you. Maybe if you were less, things would be easier, but that's the trap. The moment you start reducing yourself to fit into other people's comfort zones, you move away from who you truly are. And the truth is, no matter how much you shrink, it will never fully solve the problem. Because the issue was never your presence. It was how your presence made them confront themselves. So instead of questioning your value, start understanding your impact. Because every reaction you're seeing, every strange look, every moment of tension, every unnecessary criticism is a sign of something deeper. It's not random, and it's definitely not meaningless. Now let's talk about the signs, the moments you've probably experienced but never fully understood. Because once you see these patterns clearly, everything will start to make sense. If you've ever noticed people staring at you longer than normal, more intensely than usual, this is not your imagination. You could be walking down the street, sitting quietly in a cafe, or simply minding your own business, and yet you feel it. Eyes on you. Not casual glances, but something more focused. Almost like they're trying to figure you out. If you've experienced this, here's the reason. People are picking up on your presence. There is something about your energy that draws attention. Even if they don't consciously understand it, they feel it. And when the mind cannot explain something, it observes it. That's why they stare. Now think about this. Have you ever noticed someone starting to act like you? Maybe at first it was subtle. The way they speak, the words they use, the way they carry themselves. Then, over time, it becomes more obvious. They adopt your style, your ideas, even your mindset. If you've seen this happen, this is why. People imitate what they admire. When they recognize something powerful or effective in you, they naturally try to mirror it. Not because they want to replace you, but because they want to understand what makes you, you. Your confidence, your clarity, your way of thinking, it leaves an impression. And that impression spreads. Now here's another sign. Have people ever asked you questions that feel deeper than usual? Not just surface-level conversation, but questions about how you think, how you make decisions, how you stay so calm or focused. Sometimes even random questions that seem out of place. If you've experienced this, this is the reason. They are trying to decode you. There is something about your perspective that feels different to them. And when people sense that difference, they become curious. They want to understand your mindset, your beliefs, your way of navigating life. Because on some level, they feel like you see something they don't, and that draws them in. Now let's go deeper. Have you noticed people coming to you for advice, even when there are other options? They could ask anyone. They could figure things out on their own. But instead, they come to you. They ask for your opinion. They want your approval. They want reassurance that they're making the right choice. If this has happened to you, here's why. They trust your clarity. There is a weight to your words. A sense that when you speak, you're not just guessing you understand, and that makes people feel safe. It makes them feel guided. You become someone they rely on. But there's one more sign that many people overlook. Have you ever felt like people are slightly nervous around you? They hesitate. They overthink what they say. They act differently than they do with others. If you've seen this, this is the reason. Your presence creates awareness. When someone stands in front of you, they don't just feel you, they feel themselves more clearly. Their insecurities, their doubts, their uncertainty, all of it becomes more visible to them. And that can be uncomfortable, so they become cautious, careful, sometimes even anxious. Now, when you put all of this together, the staring, the imitation, the curiosity, the need for your guidance, the nervous energy, it starts to form a pattern that is not random. If you've seen even a few of these signs in your life, then there is something about you that stands out more than you realize. And the truth is, people are reacting to it, whether they understand it or not. Now let's go deeper, because this is the part most people never truly understand. What you're experiencing is not random behavior from others. It's psychological, it's emotional, and more than anything, it's reflective. You see, when people encounter someone like you, someone with presence, clarity, And a certain level of self-awareness, it creates a mirror effect. And not everyone is ready to look into that mirror. Your presence doesn't just exist, it reveals. It reveals the gaps they've been ignoring. It reveals the potential they haven't stepped into. It reveals the fears they've been avoiding. And when someone is forced to face parts of themselves they're not comfortable with, their reaction is rarely calm or logical. Instead, it becomes emotional. This is why some people feel uneasy around you without understanding why. Because, on a deeper level, you are reflecting back to them who they are and who they are not. Have you ever noticed how certain people seem triggered just by your confidence? You're not bragging, you're not showing off, you're simply being yourself. And yet, it affects them. That's because your confidence forces comparison. They begin to measure their life against yours, your discipline against their inconsistency, your direction against their confusion. And in that comparison, if they feel like they fall short, it creates discomfort. Now, here's the important part. That discomfort doesn't come from you. It comes from the gap between who they are and who they believe they could be. And instead of closing that gap through growth, many people try to reduce the tension by shifting the focus onto you. That's where judgment begins. That's where criticism comes from. That's where subtle negativity shows up. Not because you did something wrong, but because your existence challenges their comfort zone. In a way, you activate something inside people. You activate their awareness. And awareness, for someone who has been avoiding truth, can feel overwhelming. It can bring up insecurity. It can bring up self-doubt. It can even bring up frustration because deep down, they may realize they've been settling for less than what they're capable of. So when they react negatively, when they distance themselves, when they question you or even try to bring you down, it is not a reflection of your value. It is a reflection of their internal conflict. You are simply the trigger. And this is why it's so important for you to understand one key truth. It's not that you are wrong. It's that your presence makes them confront themselves. Once you understand this, everything changes. You stop taking things personally. You stop overanalyzing every reaction. You stop shrinking yourself to make others feel comfortable, because you realize you were never the problem. You were the mirror they weren't ready to face. So, what do you do with all of this? Once you understand how people react to you, the next step is learning how to respond the right way. First, stay true to who you are. Do not shrink yourself just to make others feel comfortable. Do not dim your light, soften your voice, or question your path just because someone else doesn't understand it. Your difference is not a flaw, it's your identity. And the moment you start changing that to fit in, you lose the very thing that makes you powerful. Second, don't react emotionally. Not every look, not every comment, not every negative energy deserves your response. When people project their insecurity onto you, responding with anger or frustration only pulls you into their level. Stay calm, stay grounded. Let your actions speak louder than your reactions. Third, set clear boundaries. You are not here to carry everyone's emotions or solve everyone's problems. If people constantly come to you for advice, support, or validation, learn to protect your time and energy. It's okay to say no. It's okay to step back. Respect yourself enough to not let others drain you. And finally, don't let people depend on you too much. Guide them, yes. Support them, yes. But don't become their crutch. Encourage them to think for themselves, to trust their own decisions, to build their own confidence. Your role is not to lead their life for them, but to remind them they can lead their own. When you live this way, everything becomes clearer. You stop feeling confused, you stop feeling overwhelmed, and you start moving with purpose, knowing exactly who you are and how to handle the world around you. And now, you need to hear this clearly. You are not like everyone else. And you were never meant to be. All those moments when you felt different, when you felt out of place, when you couldn't fully connect with the way others think or live, that was not a weakness. That was a sign. A sign that you were designed for something more. You don't see the world the same way. You don't move the same way. You don't settle the same way. And that's exactly why people react to you the way they do, because they can feel it. You were chosen for a reason. Not by accident, not by chance, but with purpose. And even if you don't fully understand that purpose yet, it's already shaping your path, your mindset, and your life. So stop doubting yourself. Start owning who you are. And if this message resonates with you, don't ignore it. If you're still here, that means this message found the right person. Don't ignore that feeling inside you. If this spoke to you, take a moment right now and comment, "I'm chosen," or "Amen" below. Let it be a declaration not just to others, but to yourself. And if you want more messages like this, messages that remind you who you are and where you're going, make sure you subscribe and stay connected. Your journey is just beginning. I'll see you in the next one.